Hey everyone, Jake here for American Trucks, and in this video we're taking a look at the Vance & Hines Whole Shot Series Performance Dual Exhaust System with the Eliminator black tips, fitting 2019 and newer 5.7 liter Ram 1500s with the factory dual exhaust. Bring a bit of that motorcycle-inspired style and sound to your Hemi-powered Ram with this whole shot exhaust from Vance & Hines. This is going to give you a nice mellow tone and some cool aesthetics as well. It's a bold look and a nice sound, and accordingly we're going to give this a 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. It's enough of a difference that nobody will mistake it for stock, but it's also not going to upset your passengers or neighbors. If the name Vance & Hines sounds familiar to you, well, that's not a mistake. That company has been a long-standing favorite in the motorcycle industry with applications for many different bikes. And whether you ride or not, now you can bring some of their unique style and sound to your own Ram. Now, the whole shot system we have here produces a great sound as you'd expect. With this large chambered suitcase muffler, the sound is amplified quite a bit over stock. It's a really deep rumble and overall very smooth. And as you can see, this is pretty straight through. There's not a whole lot of baffling in here, but surprisingly, it's not going to be too loud. And though the Hemi sounds good right out of the box, this setup makes it sound all that much better. And you could even argue that this is kind of how it should have sounded from the factory. It's a nice, pleasant tone overall. Now, inside the cabin, that means there is going to be more noise as well. However, as you heard from the clips at the beginning of the video, it's again not at all obtrusive or unpleasant. Personally, I think this is just about the right sound level, at least for me, and it's a more acceptable sound and volume level for a daily driven truck. So you can have a conversation, you can jam out to your favorite song while still enjoying the sweet Hemi music too. And there's also no drone with this system, making it all that much more pleasant to live with. Now, the system is designed to utilize the factory exhaust cutouts in your rear bumper, so while it won't require any modification to fit, this is a very different look. Now, this is another place where that motorcycle lineage shows up, as these 5-inch black Eliminator tips are certainly a departure from your factory setup. They look like something you'd find on a modified Harley Bagger or almost a cannon barrel type of thing. It's a pretty cool look, and we get lots of exhaust through the doors here, and I can't say I've seen anything quite like this one. It's a great way to make your truck stand out from the rest, and is a wildly different aesthetic as compared to your typical aftermarket exhaust. Thankfully though, construction is not all that different. This is a fully T304 stainless system though, meaning it's going to provide you about the best rust and corrosion protection you can get. Now, everything from the inlet pipe back to the tips is T304, so you're covered the whole way back. Now, the piping here is all 2.5 inches in diameter after the muffler, and of course it is mandrel bent, so you're not going to see any weird creases or anything in here, making for smooth, effective exhaust flow. The tips and the pipes leading into them also feature a high temp black powder coating for good looks and additional protection. So suffice it to say, this is a pretty high quality system. And as you might expect from a system of this material quality, you're going to have to pay to play. This one is going to run you about $1,900, so it is a decidedly premium option and thus is going to command that premium price. But if you want a great tolerable level of sound, excellent build quality, and a unique look, this is going to be worth the cost of entry for you. Installation is pretty standard for an exhaust, and accordingly we're going to give this a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter. You can expect the job to take you about 2 hours to complete. Now, exhaust can be a little bit finicky because there are a lot of pieces to get put together here, and most of us don't have a lift at home. But everything is designed here to bolt right on without modification. It's going to utilize all of your factory exhaust hanger locations. With that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact and ratchet, a 13, 15, 16 millimeter socket, 18 millimeter wrench, a pry bar, exhaust hanger tool, spray lubricant, a type of grease, and also not shown will be a lift and a pull jack. All right, today we're installing an exhaust on our Ram. First, we're gonna watch a quick video how to uninstall the stock system, and we're gonna come back here to install the new one.
First step here, we're gonna grab our hanger removal tool and pop the hanger off right above our resonator on our passenger side tailpipe. The driver's side tailpipe is one piece all the way back to the muffler inlet, so we're going to attack that later. So for right now, we're going to do this, and I've lubricated it with WD-40. It makes life a little bit easier. All right, next step, grab your ratchet and your 15 millimeter deep socket, and we're going to loosen up the clamp holding the tailpipe to the rest of the exhaust assembly. All right, hanger's out of position, clamp is loosened up. Let's get this exhaust pipe off. All right, so at this point, we're gonna focus on our driver's side tailpipe. Now, like I said, it's all one piece. I have a pull jack here right behind the resonator just to give it some support once we start disconnecting things. I am gonna remove this tip, however. Removing this tip gives you another foot, maybe foot and a few inches of extra space that you don't have to worry about feeding out of the frame. So we're gonna take this guy off with a 13mm socket. Next, we can pop the hanger out of the isolator using our hanger removal tool right above that resonator. All right, so now we can disconnect the hangers right above the muffler outlet. There's one on each side. Grab your hanger removal tool and get these guys off. Now, as you can see, I have a pull jack here supporting this as well. So we have two different points of support for this exhaust. Now for this one, it's tough to get the hanger removal tool in here, so I'm gonna use my pry bar to get this guy off. All right, so next up, we're gonna focus on this flange here. Now you could bypass this and go straight back to the cat, but that's a lot of exhaust to take off in one piece, so I'm gonna separate it here. Now, once we have this taken care of, there is one more hanger to remove, but for now, grab your 16mm socket and disconnect these two bolts. All right, now when you pop this guy out of the hanger isolator, this is all gonna come loose, so you wanna be prepared for that. Before we do so, there's a ground strap here. I'm just gonna disconnect that from the factory tubing. All right, so that way it dangles here and we can reconnect it to our new exhaust later. So now we can grab our hanger removal tool and pop that guy off. All right, now you can take this exhaust off.
All right, before we start installing the new system, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some grease. We're just gonna go to all of our isolators. We're just gonna go and grease where the hangers will go inside, just to make the install a little bit easier. All right, you just go ahead and do the same thing for the rest of the isolators. All right, so now we're just gonna put up our first section with our flange. So we're gonna put it in our hanger and then we will install our supplied bolts. Just make sure that your gasket is still there. All right, so we're gonna have our supplied bolts and they do have a lock washer with them. We'll put our nuts on the back side. All right, then we're gonna tighten them down. They are 18mm nuts and 16mm heads. All right, so we'll grab our impact with our 16 and 18mm wrench. All right, next we can put our muffler section up. We're gonna grab our largest clamp, slide that over the front pipe, and then we can slide our muffler over that. This do have a pole jack here, it just helps support the weight. Also noted, just make sure that you do have the logos down because there are 4 drain holes that need to be facing down. All right, now we're gonna work on our sections coming out of the muffler. We're gonna work on our top section first. That is our driver's side. You can see this does make a right-hand turn. We have our clamp already on here. I'm gonna put it in our hanger, and then slide it over our muffler. All right, then we're gonna do the same thing for our passenger side. Put it in our hanger first. All right, as you can see, it was just getting caught up on the hanger here. You just have to work it around that. All right, now we have our next passenger side piece. It is the over axle pipe. You'll see is the shorter one without a hanger on it. So we're gonna have our clamp already on it. Slide it over. And slide it onto our other pipe. All right, now we just have our driver's side over the axle pipe. Once again, put the clamp over first. Slide up over our axle. Feed it into the pipe coming off the muffler. And you can just let that rest on the axle for right now. All right, now we are ready to install our tips. We're gonna put our hanger in first and then feed our pipe in. Once again, we also have the clamp over first, don't forget that. All right, you just go ahead and do the same thing for the other tip. All right, now we're gonna go through and start tightening everything, working our way from the front backwards, adjusting as we go. Everything is a 16mm socket, so we're just gonna grab our impact and 16mm socket. All right, so we're gonna start at the front of our muffler here. All right, then we're gonna go to our back, just make sure they're adjusted properly and not touching. All right, then we're gonna come back to our 2 over axle pipes. All right, now we just have our clamps for our tips. Adjust them where you want. All right, and that wraps up our install of our Vance & Hines Whole Shot Series Performance Dual Exhaust System with Eliminator black tips for a rear exit for our 2019 and newer 5.7 liter Ram 1500 with factory dual exhaust. And remember, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.